can feel it. In the air, in the walls. This spirit has a power we've not seen before. It has found us.
Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell, and this is my review of Winchester. Now, this is a film based around supposedly true events surrounding the Winchester house, which is one of the most haunted houses in the US, North America. Helen Mirren plays the owner of the Winchester house. She is this old woman who has basically inherited it, and she has this connection to the house, along with the spirits of people who have been killed by Winchester rifles. This is a real rifle company, and the idea of the film is that anyone who has been killed with one of these rifles, they eventually find their way to this house, they haunt it, and then Helen Mirren has to eventually find some way to connect to that person and allow them to move on and deal with their undealt with baggage. However, the Winchester company, they decide that they don't really want Helen Mirren running this company anymore because she's old. She's wanting to move away from the rifle idea and move into like roller skates and things of that sort, which aren't nearly as deadly. And so they bring in Jason Clarke, who is the psychologist who they're basically paying to say that she is crazy. And so he goes there to do his assessment over a week's time, and we have our film. Now, Jason Clarke and Helen Mirren, they both work really, really well in this film. I really enjoyed their chemistry together when they had their scenes together. Basically, his interviews of her explaining basically the history of the house, what's going on with it, and just asking him questions as well, because he has a mysterious past to him as well, which is gradually revealed throughout the course of the film. That part I actually found really pretty much interesting because of how it connected him to the house personally. I also thought that Helen Mirren just gave a really good performance in this film, because you can tell that she is a woman who really believes that this house is haunted by these spirits of people, and it is her duty essentially to try to help them. And if she cannot help them, and if they want to hurt pure souls, as she says, she has to lock them away with 13 nails. Ultimately, what made this film actually work really well for me is the scares and the tension that this thing has during the nighttime scenes. Man. I don't know why, but for some reason, this film had me jumping multiple times with jump scares. I don't know why. I've seen enough horror films where this shouldn't affect me for the most part anymore. And yet there is a scene where Jason Clarke is in this kind of cupboard area, and it leads to a basement. He's looking down there, and it's basically a much more intense scene from like the beginning of Resident Evil 7, if you know what I'm talking about. And I just was not expecting it at all, and I jumped and moved a lot in my seat. So if you're not prepared, there are jump scares which will get you in this film. There were a few besides that one which just had me jumping unexpectedly and freaking out based on what was happening. So this film does a really good job at heightening the tension and just using the scares effectively. It does have jump scares, obviously, but they're used, I think, to help illustrate the plot and really more enhance it, in my opinion. The music is also very effective in this regard because it's very drony, it's mysterious, and it helps to heighten the tension as well. I did have a couple issues with it. They're kind of more minor things though. The ending I thought was a little bit drawn out. When we get to the third act and it really starts to pick up and it gets exciting and we find out what's happening, it just feels like it's stretched out a little too much. Like, and 5 to 10 minutes could have been just taken off. We could have wrapped this thing up a lot quicker than it was. And then this is an issue which I also had with the Annabelle creation, which I didn't review, but an issue that I had with that was that the CGI demon thing looked really stupid. And so this film also uses CGI to show like the ghosts or bad spirits, which ultimately become the antagonists of the film. And it looked fine, but it wasn't really that good. I don't really like it when they use CGI to portray spirits or ghosts or demons or what have you. So it never just really looks all that good, in my opinion. I do like that throughout the film and right before the end credits, we do get a little bit of history of the house as well as a look at the real person that Helen Mirren played. and just history behind her. And then one thing which is also brought up repeatedly throughout the film, because an idea for the house is that it is always being constructed upon because new ghosts find their way to Helen Mirren, and she has to build these rooms for them, which are duplicates of more or less how they died, or a place that they can go to basically speak with her, and become a little bit more present in the real world and have a connection with her, figure out what's wrong so they can pass on. So this house is consistently under construction, building new rooms, destroying old ones, things of that sort. And so the original title for this film was Winchester, the House That Spirits Built. That subtitle was taken off for whatever reason, but it is a phrase that is still prominent throughout the film, and it is kind of true in two different fashions. The house that spirits built, basically the rifles that were sold, which ultimately killed the men and the women and children, and whoever was killed by these rifles throughout the years, they ultimately were the ones that more or less built this house as a result, to an extent at least. And then we also have the more supernatural version where it's like Helen Mirren is building this house for the spirits, and so through her they're building the house, and it's built by them. So guys, ultimately I was kind of surprised how much I actually found myself enjoying Winchester. It was a film which had me very tense a lot of times, had my heart rate going faster than I wanted it to a few times, and I had to control my breathing, more or less, throughout the film, which is always a good sign of a good horror film, in my opinion. It's one that got me a few times, and it's one that I recommend going to check out if you're interested whatsoever. Guys, those are my thoughts on Winchester. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.